Hello, patrons. Say hi to Delilah. Hello, Delilah. Hi. Hi, everybody. How you doing, Delilah? Hey? Yeah? Oh, you hear the purring? She sounds grumpy, but she's super happy. Listen. That is a happy kitty. Right, grumpy face? Yeah. Grumpy face. Yeah. Yeah, she's so crabby tabby. But she's actually quite happy. But that's not what I'm talking to you today about. I have a boss fight update for you guys. As you know, you guys are the ones that I use to keep the process honest. So as things progress, I let you guys know. And then if somebody says, "Oh, you're just saying that for something," you guys know that's not true. So, as you know, a big change with Boss Fight from Lady Bits was the writers tier. And the writers have submitted their first drafts, and they're rather elaborate. So, what ended up getting submitted was so ambitious that there was no way I could act all the characters myself. And so I came up with the idea, hey, we could just plunk all this stuff into RPG Maker and make little chibi animations and little dialogue boxes and stuff like that for the flashbacks. And then I thought, well, if we're going to go to all that trouble and do all that art, might as well just make a little game about the backstory for what's become called the Braverse, the magical kingdom that Brario and Boobs are and the Evil Queen and Princess Sparkle Muffin and now apparently the Social Justice Warrior and a few other characters are coming from. So that is a big twist. That's not necessarily a big delay from the first episode, but straightening out all the backstories now that there are these additional characters and a bunch of connections between characters may take longer than originally intended. So at the beginning of October, I'm going to determine whether I'm going to push into November or not. It might make more sense anyway because of game announcements and stuff like that. It's a weird year for this kind of stuff, but I might push the launch just to make sure I don't have to retcon certain things as the series goes on. I want to get this continuity down. And it'll still, starting in November, December, February, January, February, March, we're still well ahead of a spring completion date. So no worries there. Just wanted to let you know that I am considering pushing it just so that some of this pre-production stuff can get done right. I very, very silly thought these backstories were going to be like simple little things, but people really thought about it, and there were a lot of very creative ideas and a lot of effort was put into it. So I just decided that it makes more sense to adapt the timeline for the ideas instead of chucking out a lot of otherwise good ideas because it didn't fit the scope of the initial project. So I don't know what's going to happen with this game. This may be a whole new type of content for me. Inspired by this is a parody of Zork text adventure game done in Inform 7 and a potential other Princess Sparkle Muffin game. So I have no idea. This is all new right now. I don't know if we're going to be able to complete all this stuff. The RPG Maker thing, we have to make it, so might as well just release a little game as kind of a cute thing. But yeah, we'll see. But that's what's going on right now. I've started writing the original episode. It's going to take quite a few rewrites because instead of versus mode, everybody's on like screens and cameras and things like that this time around to have a lot, because there's a lot more characters interacting with each other. And so making that work and making it all make sense and finding kind of the insertion points for the characters jumping in without it being a hot mess. The first episode is always the toughest on something like this, getting the format. But all things considered, it's going really well, just, based on the huge jump in the ambitiousness of the idea. It's gonna be completely inverted. Like the versus mode style content with all the crazy characters is gonna be the bulk of the show. Because a lot of these myths, it doesn't actually take very much information to refute, which is kind of sad that because they're still so prevalent. But playing with the concepts and having fun with them, I think will make the truth about video games stick more. And hey, maybe it'll just go into a thing where I don't do information content anymore. It'll just be these silly little things with silly characters I make up and become more of a sketch comedy thing going forward. Though there is definitely enough content for Boss Fight Season 2. We'll see. But that's what's going on. I'm also going to be starting some more podcast stuff with the Fun Network, the FU Network. I don't know if you've been following some of the stuff, but it's really taking off, which is good. And eventually FU Gaming is going to be a part of that once we start the video content as well. That's where the video game writing boot camp is going to come into it for people who are still waiting for that. That is still coming. Haven't forgotten about it. Do I want to get into the delays on that? No, I don't. They're beyond my control. This isn't, I'm not taking the lead on this. So it's a different standard, but it is still coming. Speaking of which, the Lady Bits fulfillment is now completely done, except for a few packages that came back. And one was somebody with t-shirts, so they must have moved and not changed their address and didn't contact me, or I don't know what. But there are some Beelzebub, Well-Behaved Women Seldom Get Good shirts still left if anybody would like them for purchase. There are some ladies' larges, I know. If anybody is interested, I could find out what the remaining sizes are. There are no mediums left. Go me. I have an audience of very, very small gamers. The medium shirts, I had to order new ones. But there are definitely, like in the 2XL, 3XL range, I know there are still some extras. And yeah, like I said, there are some ladies' shirts as well. And if anybody's interested, just shoot me a message on Patreon, and I can check to see if there's a size if you'd like to buy an additional shirt. I've been selling them for people who want extras for $20. And I want to get this out of the way because I want to get the Lady Bits fulfillment stuff out so I can order the Boss Fight t-shirts. I'm getting really excited to show people the Boss Fight t-shirts. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to have a backers only shirt. And then there's going to be a available for purchase. One of the things with the FU network, there's going to be a Shopify store. And I'm going to have some designs of my various characters available, various characters and various brands available for purchase, a la carte via that store that are different designs than the Kickstarter backers were getting. So all that's coming up, exciting stuff, kind of starting to feel like a real girl. That's a joke, you know what I mean? Just like, wow, actual like business stuff's happening. So that's what's going on. Hope you're excited because it's pretty exciting. And I lectured at Sheridan College again this week. It went well. It was the first class I've ever presented at that school with a majority female class, like more women than men in the class. And so the bit I did on the Mortal Kombat costumes went over better than it ever has. I show the evolution of Katana and Liu Kang's costumes and just take the piss out of how ridiculous Katana's most recent Mortal Kombat. I've lost track of which game it is. Mortal Kombat 11, I guess. But it looks like she's wearing like a bustier top with a peplum and kitten heels in the sand. And I looked at the women in the classes. Do you ever worn Spanx, ladies? Like, yeah, they look good, but they're not comfortable. You ever had boning in it and then you try to bend over and it digs in? I said, nobody is doing high kicks in that. And I had to stop myself from saying in that shit. But they're all giggling, right? Because they understand and they're all giggling and nodding. And, it's not that the problem isn't that this is ridiculous. The problem is that they claimed this was somehow more realistic and or more respectful. And they got it. This is young women who want to make games, coming into it, willing to laugh at stuff, but also not buying into that that paradigm. The other thing I'm finding is that within, I'd say 3 terms, so about a year, the awareness of tropes versus women and certainly the influence of tropes versus women has very much faded. I don't even have to directly address it anymore. Nobody asks about it. And somebody used to ask about it every class. So that is definitely, at least up here, really faded from relevance. People are much more interested in other issues, mainly how to market games to different, in an inclusive way. And so the talk has evolved accordingly. I'm actually thinking about not calling it accidental sexism in game design anymore. It's now about the thing I came up with is the big 5 motivators for gamers. Basically, there's a series of 5 game design elements that are the most popular among men, women, and gender nonconforming gamers. So if you include these big 5, like the big 5 personality traits, you can appeal to a very wide group of gamers because you're not making a game that looks like it's for women but plays in the way that men prefer, vice versa. So the talk is evolving as student demands are evolving, and that's what's cool about having that once every 3 months check-in with academia. I get to know what people are actually thinking, what people actually want to pay to learn about, which is really, really nice. So, and thanks for all the kind words from everybody about, the death in the family and stuff like that. It's weird that way. I haven't had a big breakdown about it. I think just because it was 2 years coming. But I'm just really tired all the time. I think because dealing with other people and dealing with the way other people have been handling it or not handling it. My stepsister really appreciated the thing I put up on Facebook about my stepfather and his kind of influence on me in terms of inclusion. The short version of that is, for people who don't have me on Facebook, because I didn't put it on my page. I put it on my personal, like my regular Facebook. But basically, my stepfather was a biochemist, and he had a lab for a really long time, and he had a ton of graduate students, and many of them were women. Some of them were mums. A lot of them were immigrants, that came from around the world. And he never, ever treated women, whether he was their supervisor or, female deans or anything like that. He never treated women any differently from men. He'd disagree with, people when he thought was warranted, but he never acted like women were this, like, distinctly different thing, even though, like, personally, he was old school. I mean, he was 12 in World War II when London was bombed. So, this is a guy who survived World War II as a kid, served in Korea. And, when he got drunk, like many proper Englishmen, he was prone to racial slurs and some salty language. But in practice, he really did kind of establish a lot regarding what equality looks like in my mind, you know, not treating women as distinctly different things, not assuming that women won't be interested in science, not assuming that you know, women were there because they couldn't do anything else or anything like that. And he was a very well-rounded person in a way that a lot of people aren't anymore. He was a great patron of the arts, especially the Shaw Festival in Niagara, but also classical music and then, you know, classic musical theater, Guys and Dolls, Hello Dolly, stuff like that. The Carol Channing, not the Barbra Streisand version. But yeah, I never made the connection until I started, you know, writing this is the online tribute post to what an impact he made on me that way. And I guess that just goes to show that role models for how you think about yourself come from funny places. I know we make a lot of the importance of, you know, male role models in boys' lives and female role models in women's lives, in girls' lives. But I think there's something to be said for things going the other way too. Like, you know, it's important for boys to have positive female role models when they're young. And you know, going through life, it's important for women to have positive male role models growing up through life, you know, and so on and so forth, outside the gender binary. And I think we kind of give short shrift to that. Like, we're all human beings, and this tendency to treat different genders as things that have less in common with you than, you know, things that are more different from you than they are alike. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. And yeah, it's interesting. I guess I'll leave that there. Contemplative. So this was a good chunk of update, right? Combination of sort of housekeeping and then personal stuff, which is what you guys pay for, right? That's what these Patreon videos are supposed to be. So, yay. Thanks for your support. I know we lost some people in this community due to financial circumstances. I hope they will be back. Some people actually told me that, and I like it when people tell me that, you know, they have to cut the support, but it's not for any bad reason. It's just financial, because I can let them know it's okay. And please come back and please keep in touch. And you know, it's amazing how much you can care about people you've never met just by learning their stories and thinking they're a cool person online. So, and one of the best compliments I have gotten recently is somebody who met me at PAX, who said, you don't know how much of someone that you see online is artifice and how much of that is the real person. Fortunately, according to them, in my case, there's no artifice. Wait, maybe that wasn't a compliment. I don't know. Like, am I letting too much hang out? I think based on some of my cosplay pictures, I definitely let a lot hang out, both literally and figuratively. Anyway, yeah, Twitch today is going to be Riven. Finally, I downloaded the game. It's ready to go. Cloudcraft, I promised you. There you go. Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Feedback Friday tomorrow. Twitch today. Thanks for watching.